Okay, YouTube. Today I'm going to be just talking a little bit about tumbling. I'm extremely cheap, so I tend to pick up most ammo right from the range. That's 30-06. That's not what's being loaded here, but just to give you an idea what it started off looking like. Here's what it looked like originally. So some of those are dug out of the dirt. Some of those came right from my own bench, so those are the nice, pretty shiny ones. But the rest of them, as you can see, are pretty junky. Pretty junky looking. So, that's what they start out looking like. Actually, they'll even be covered with dirt when they first come back. Some dirt, some sand, stuff like that. I'll wash them. So the very first washing, I throw them in a tray like this. You know, one of those foil trays, or a glass tray, or a cookie pan, an old cookie pan, something like that. Just get enough water on them to get over the top of them. And I'll throw in a tiny little bit of dish soap, like a drop, warm water, and vinegar. The only grief I find with the vinegar is everything will start off looking really good, and then it will, or at least some of the cartridges will turn pink. I'm guessing that's some kind of metal reaction with some of the steel cases that wind up in there. So, they start off looking like that. I'm sorry if I'm moving fast. It's going to probably make somebody dizzy and nauseous along the way. But anyway, I throw them into this, and actually, so that's a Harbor Freight special. Harbor Freight vibratory tumbler. It's the little one, so it'll hold up to 5 pounds. I don't actually weigh it. I just kind of ballpark it. So that gives you an idea of how much media is going to go in there. That's about half to 2/3 full, and then I'll probably take about this much ammo, or this many cartridges at least. So what's that? This is a quart wonton bucket, Chinese takeout bucket. It's not completely full, and I'll throw those in. So start off with this. Start off with something that's dirty. Wash them when they first got dirt on them. Let them dry. I throw them in the oven. I have the oven set at about 170 degrees. After I throw the tray in, I shut it off. Let them sit in there for about 45 minutes. They get nice and dry. I throw them in here. And when I first throw them in here, I've got this stuff going. See how I'm so well set up. It's got everything perched. What is that? That is crushed walnuts. So that's that lizard bedding that you'll see everybody mention. You get it in Petco. It's just crushed up walnuts. And actually, in my case, this is not just crushed walnuts. It also has in it this stuff, Barkeeper's Friend. You'll see online some people say, don't throw that in. It gives the casings a little bit of a satiny finish, and it kind of does. But for the ones that I'm digging up out of the dirt, they need to really get scrubbed heavily. So that's what happens there. Next. So, throw crushed walnuts in there. Throw, it's about 100 casings at least into there. Put the cover on. There used to be a gasket on here. The gasket eventually came off. That poses a little bit of grief. So you're going to put a cover on it. The Harbor Freight one's the only one that I know of that comes with a gasket. That's the amusing part there. So I don't know how needed it is. But what I can tell you is rubber washer, regular washer, wing nut, and I throw a little extra nut on there. There's just one I had lying around. Because what tends to happen otherwise is, as it runs, this thing tends to go like this, and over time, it takes the nut off, and then you just find a big mess. So, start off with dirty casings, wash them once to get the dirt off them, throw them in the oven, 170 degrees. As soon as you put the casings in the oven, turn the oven off. It isn't going to do anything to them. They're not sitting in there that long, and they're not sitting in any direct heat anyway. After you're sure that they're dry, take them, throw them in this. You're throwing in crushed walnuts. I throw in a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend. It's pretty abrasive at that point. If the shells aren't dirty in any way, if they're not super dirty, if you haven't dug them up out of the earth, you probably don't need to go to that extreme. You won't need the Barkeeper's Friend. you'll get a shinier finish in the end. So that covers the first tumbling. When they come out, they'll look like that. So here's a comparison. That's a bad comparison. Here's fresh out. Let me get them into light that we can see them. There's fresh. Let's go kind of focus. Come on. That's better. So there's your first. This is dug up out of the ground. This is after one tumbling. And that's tumbling of about 2-3 hours. What's next? After you tumble them once, you're going to want to, depending on what order you do things, you're going to deprime them, you're going to full size them, you're going to clean out the primer pocket, you might ream the primer pocket, you might trim them. If you full size them, you're probably going to trim them. And at this point, they got a tiny bit of lube still left on them. And for lube, I'm using my own stuff. And those are BBs in there, and that is alcohol. And for an actual lubricant, I'm using lanolin cream. And this was actually nipple cream from CVS. $10 though, so I don't know if it's the best move. For me, it was $10. For $10, well, for $2 more, I eventually got this. I haven't tried this yet, because until I use this stuff up, the stuff that I made, there it is, and that's BBs in there to shake it up. You have to put this in warm water to get to get the oil, the lanolin, to get the lanolin to actually melt into the alcohol, and then you spray the casings down, and I'll go into that on another video. But back to tumbling. You start off with dirty shells. You're washing them once. You're letting them dry in the oven a little bit with the oven shut off. You're putting crushed walnuts into Harbor Freight tumbler or some other tumbler. I think most of them are made overseas anyway. Tumble it for about 3 hours. The stuff that comes out is going to look kind of like this. So nice. Not as ideal as it could be. At this point, it's good enough to shoot. It's not going to hurt anything. But if you're fastidious about really, really, really shiny ammunition, you'll probably want to tumble them again. After you've full-sized them and done all good stuff like that, they have lubricant all over them, so you're going to have to tumble them anyway, at least for a little while. Here's what I do. After I've done all the magic to them, trimmed them, full-sized, all that fun stuff, I tumble them again. This time, it's a little bit of a mix. Crushed walnuts is kind of aggressive. The other kind of media you can use is corn cob. Being a cheap SOB, I would go to pet store and get it, but the stuff at the pet store is just too big in size. The granules are too big, and I'm loading 223. It tends to get really jammed up in the 223 cartridges, so I went and bought this, which wasn't too bad. I think it was an Amazon find. So that is corn cob. Does it say corn cob on there? Huh. I'm sorry for all my showing it. It doesn't actually say. Oh, there it is. Corn cob media. I think it was like $12 for 7 pounds. Not cheap, but not bad. So, what's in there? Mostly corn cob with some crushed walnut. Corn cob is better for polishing. At least that's what some people say. I've kind of found that the walnut is more aggressive, so I wouldn't call that the ultimate polisher. I'd call it a better cleaner. So that's why corn cob mostly in here, a little bit of walnut just to give it a little bit of bite. And the critical component, the thing I blew off for a while, new finish. It's car wax. Throw in like 2 capfuls, that much times 2. I had seen online people said, oh, throw in new finish, and I had other waxes kicking around here, so I tried throwing those in. I tried throwing in paint thinner, because somebody said put in a tablespoon or so of that. That's what wrecked the gasket on here, so I would advise against throwing the paint thinner in. But when I tried the new finish, it makes a world of difference. These, so let's see if we can get them shinier, or we show them. Is that going to clear up? And it's spazzing the camera out. Yeah, sorry. They come out extremely clean, and that's, again, it doesn't really affect the shooting. It just it looks prettier. Does that matter? Yeah, like I said, not really. That's, I think, nickel plated. One of the things you want if you're grabbing ammo just out of the dirt, steel casings can be reloaded. Not my priority one, so what I've kind of done is throwing them in there for now. That's how much steel came out of the ground. Those are my, if I have nothing else to reload and I really need something badly, I guess I'll go to those. For now, they'll just sit in the corner. So there's your various steps. That's how they ultimately wind up. Let's see if I can get the back there. Okay. Come on. Sorry, I'm getting trouble focusing. After I tumble them for the last time, now each time you're going to kind of inspect them a little bit. Last time, here's my little trick. I shake them out in the colander. Oh, dust goes everywhere. No, it doesn't actually. Shake them. The only grief when you shake cartridges in any kind of little container like this is they will tend to do this. You can see it a little bit. Tough to see in the video. They start to all stand up, which is cool for picking them up. So after the first tumbling, you want to pick them up and you want them all in the same order. That's great. But by them all standing up, all the media tends to stay in them. So you kind of got to do one of these like little pancake maneuvers where you're flipping them. And I do that all over this. It catches all the media. I spill the media back in. Ultimately, as I take each one, I'll hold it. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah. I hold it against the white background so you can kind of see right through the casing as long as everything's clean in there. I'm especially looking to make sure that that primer hole is nice and clean. It is. Throw it in, move on to the next one. So I got a couple left here, and on each one, that's what I'm looking for. If I see anything, any kind of dirt, anything in there, that's what the Q-tips are for. I'll clean out from this side. Worst comes to worst, I have a little brush and cleaning tool to get in there too. So these slowly work your way through. I'm looking on each one, and then they're ultimately going in there. That's it on tumbling and the 2 or 3 steps that are involved. That final tumbling that got them that pretty is about 45 minutes, an hour at most. They come nice, and they're all set to go then. That's it. Any questions? Leave a comment. Thanks.